Back in the day, it seemed like, with YouTube, it was very simple for creators. You could just make a video and upload it, and that was that. But these days, it does seem like things are a little bit more complicated because there's so many different types of content to choose from. You can do talking head videos, which is sort of just like what a normal YouTube video would be. It's a little more polished, or you could do vlogs maybe. There's, a lot of creators that are choosing to do vlogs. There's live streams, sort of like what you're watching right now. There's podcasts where you can get more conversational, and there's even short form vertical content. There's so many different options to choose from. And today, my goal is to help us dive into a few of these content types and talk about the different ways and strategies behind them so that you can leverage them to your advantage. And ultimately, I want to share, my thought process behind and my perspective, I guess, going into 2023 with all of these different types of content formats and how we can learn to make them work for us rather than being overwhelmed by all of the options. So we're going to dive into this today. Welcome to the stream. I'm so excited that you are joining me here. I see a few of you guys jumping in the chat, and I'm so excited. We'll be doing some Q&A here in just a little bit, but for now, let's move into talking about some of these different content types. And again, I just want to share my perspective. So I can't necessarily tell you what to do. I don't know the ins and outs of your channel, so please take what I am saying as, this is what I'm doing, and I want to share it so you may get some inspiration for how it could apply to your channel. So first and foremost, let's talk about talking head videos. This is a big part of my channel, and I'm definitely going to be focusing on them still in 2023. Talking head videos are straight to the point. They're typically more polished. They're no fluff, they're discoverable and evergreen. And this has been a massive part of how I've been able to go full-time on YouTube, making tutorials and reviews and tips and tricks in these more talking head types of formats. And so definitely going to be focusing on that still this year. Talking heads are really just a great way to put your best content forward, your best tips and tricks in a really, polished way. So let's talk about another type of format, which is vlogs. Vlogs are something I haven't done a ton of on my channel, but I do incorporate into my videos. And I think there's been a lot of talk about vlogs, like, are vlogs dead in 2023? Do they work anymore? And I think yes, 100% they can work well. It's all about how you use them. All of these different types of formats are really built to get the same sort of info across. And so when I say vlogs, I'm not talking just about like, here's what I'm doing today. It's not really about that. It's more of a video format that I'm going to be using to still teach, to still review, to still add value, but I'm going to do it in a more personal way and in a more edutaining way. So it's education and entertainment combined. It's not just one or the other. I want the vlogs to feel more personal. It's a chance for us to kind of go along somewhere, like come along with me. They'll be on location. Overall, they'll be less polished than a talking head video. And the really cool thing is I want to be able to ultimately combine the two formats together. So this is how I'm going to be approaching vlog style content in 2023. And I think that it can really work well. Another content format is live streams. And that's what we're doing right now, as you guys can see. So we're doing live streams. This is going to be, my thought process with live streams on my channel is I want them to be more like presentations. Okay. So we'll do some Q&As and hanging out, and I think that's great. But I do want to utilize the live stream format to make it for the replay. These are going to be the longest type of content that I have probably. They typically go for like an hour or so. And so they're a lot longer. But because they are longer, it gives a lot of opportunity for clippable moments that you can repurpose into short form. So that's why I'm a really big advocate for experimenting with live streams, because I think that you can get a ton of content out of them without having to edit anything up front. And then you can edit as you go later on, making shorts out of it. And of course, there's such a direct connection with live streams, especially towards the end of mine when we get into the Q&A. I'll get to chat with you guys, and I'm so excited that you all are here hanging out on the channel today. And then there's the format of podcasts. This has become such a very big element of, content on the platform. You see a lot of different podcast channels and things like that. And I actually am going to be experimenting more with podcasts as well. I don't know if I'm going to actually start a full-on podcast, but I want to take that format into some of the videos on my channel. I think it's a great opportunity for collabs, for collaborations. Being able to, invite a guest on and interview them and pull great information and gold out of them in a conversational format for your audience to just get a ton of value out of and get that guest's perspective. That's such a great opportunity that I think really only podcasts can do that, because it's such a story-driven conversation. And so I think podcasts are a great thing to dive into. And again, you can make these for the repurpose as well, being able to get a lot of clippable moments. And of course, we have the hot topic, shorts. This year is going to be really big on shorts for my channel. I've already been creating a ton of them, but it's not so much just making shorts for short's sake. A lot of this has been all about repurposing them. So I'm putting a massive, massive focus on any video that I make. I'm trying to get a couple of shorts out of it. I'm trying to get some clippable moments. I'm trying to get some value add bite-sized information from them. And I think this is a great tactic that you can try to adapt into your content strategy, is figuring out how can I even start to create my videos in a way where they are clippable, where the different segments or points of a video can each be a standalone short if it's done properly. So all of that is some stuff to think about. I'm going to be focusing on quantity over quality. I think, I definitely try to have a lot of great quality on the channel, but I do think that when it comes to shorts especially, it's just about utilizing that format, that vertical, to show up and to be consistent and to keep being present and adding value. Treat it as an appetizer. It's going to be someone's first impression potentially. And so what could you do in that short that would be, teasing at what it is that you do, or giving them a little bit of interest, giving them a ton of value in a quick, 15 seconds or whatever it is. So I think that is something that I'm going to be focusing on this year, and those are the main formats that I'm going to be focusing on. And what I'd love to do now is, we've talked about some of these formats, right? And it's a lot. There's a lot of options out there. Again, I don't think YouTube is quite as simple as it used to be, where it's just like make a video, upload it, call it a day. Now there's so many of these options. And I think that all of them can be utilized well. I think we can leverage each of them in certain ways. And so with that being said, I want to talk about some points and some, processes, some things to consider with each of these formats that we can kind of filter everything through. So let's get into identity. We're talking about identifying your audience, identifying who you are talking to. And, some of the ways we do this is just ask yourself, who are you talking to? What are their pain points? And how does your content help? Okay. I think this is a massive, massive thing to figure out, because if you can get this right, if you can get clear on this part of, the process, your content is going to be so much clearer, so much more focused, and ultimately it's going to give people a reason to watch. Because making videos for the sake of making videos can be fun, but if you're trying to treat this as a business, businesses solve problems, businesses bring solutions. And so if you can figure out what solutions you're bringing to the table for your audience, what answers do you have to their problems, I think that you can really dive into a realm of adding a ton of value, and you'll see growth in that area. So ask yourself these questions and try to bring some clarity. The other part about identity is you're wanting to figure out, who are you? Like, what is your channel about? And, if you can get clear on that, I think that you'll be able to see a lot of success. So I want to share kind of like what my mission is for the channel this year, which is helping creators win. I've thought long and hard over the past years and months, leading up to 2023 about how do I want to focus my content? What is the purpose of it? And for me, especially here in 2023, the goal that I'm feeding everything through, the funnel, the funnel that everything is going through is this statement: helping creators win. So if I'm going to make a podcast, I'm going to be asking myself front of mind, does this podcast help creators win? Because creators are my audience, and that's my goal, is to help them win. So I'd love to encourage you to think about some sort of a phrase or a mission or a statement that can be factoring into your content. How do you want to help your audience succeed? Or how do you want to make your audience laugh, or whatever it is that you're doing? Try to come up with some sort of a missional phrase, statement that you can filter all of your content through to keep it focusing on brand. All right. So hopefully that will be helpful. Then we've got to experiment. Okay. We've got to experiment. And this is a really big part of content creation this year. We want to post it all. We're going to watch the analytics and we're going to adjust as we go. All right. And there's actually a verse that I want to share with you guys around this topic. If you guys have been here for a while, especially on the live streams, I love to share some scripture with you guys, because that's just where I get a lot of my info from. So this is a verse out of Galatians: plant your seed in the morning and keep busy all afternoon. For you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another, or maybe both. All right. So what does this mean? Well, plant your seed in the morning. It's basically saying you don't know if this effort or that effort is going to work. You don't know if, a long form video or a short form vertical video is going to be the thing that takes off. So instead of just putting all of your eggs in one basket, or just making the one video and not trying to do other things, try doing both. Work at both, because maybe one will take off or maybe both of them will, right? So that's going to be one of my sort of, strategies this year, is to get really clear, get really focused, and to just experiment. I think for a long time, I got paralyzed because I was too nervous to try things that I wasn't 100% sure of. And when that happens, you get sort of stuck because you're like, I don't know if I should try this. I don't know if I should try that. In 2023, try it. Just go for it, especially with shorts. Like, just experiment a lot, because you never know what's going to be the thing that could take off. But with that being said, be prepared that anything you do make, if it does take off, it could steer the direction of your channel a little bit. So that's why I wanted to first go to that identifying part of the process. Make sure you're filtering everything through that funnel so that if something does take off, it's in the direction that you want to go. All right. Hopefully that's helpful for you. So again, that's plant your seed in the morning, keep busy all afternoon, for you don't know if profit will come from one activity or another, or maybe both. All right. Moving right along to consistency. Okay. So we've talked about identifying the audience. We've talked about this year as the year to experiment and test and try things. And part of the way that that's going to happen is by being consistent. It's all about consistency this year. So quantity over quality could be a triggering statement for some of you, even for myself at times. Think inside the box. I'll expand on these in a second, and keep showing up. So quantity over quality. Let's talk about that. I'm not saying not to have quality content, but what I am saying is that I do think in 2023, it's more important for you to keep showing up, to keep being present, to be front of mind. And I think the way that you can do this is through content like Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok, whatever platforms you're on. And I think that this is going to be a way for you to be consistent without sacrificing the quality of the long form videos, the more polished stuff. Like, put the quality into those. With the shorts, like, spend a little bit of time cutting clips from it, make some quick, trendy type things that are within your niche or whatever it is. Show a behind the scenes clip, just show up, because that's, your audience is going to want to keep seeing you, right? So that is one of the things that I think is really important. Now, think inside the box. I talk about this all the time here on this channel, so if you're new here, I'll briefly explain it. But think inside the box means embrace limitations. So know that if you're trying to be consistent, you're not necessarily going to chase perfection. You're not going to be able to necessarily see out every idea that you have. It's just putting a time limit, putting a niche limit, putting a, topic limit on your content to make it very clear, concise, to the point. So you can set a limit for yourself. Again, we're talking about thinking inside the box. You could set a limit for yourself to be like, okay, this is going to be a 30-second short, and that's it. I have 30 seconds. Within that limit, you can still get a lot of quality out of it, but it's not going to take you a ton of time to make. So again, that's thinking inside the box, and just keep showing up. You want to be present, front of mind for people. You want to keep showing up in their feed, keep adding them value. And so I think a really great way to do that this year is going to be with shorts. And I'm not saying to put all of your focus on shorts, and I'm going to repeat this throughout the stream today. But for me, my goal in 2023, I haven't even really sat down and tried to make a short. I've repurposed content from longer videos. And because of that, and some of those have gone crazy, like, hundreds, thousands of views. So the point is, I want to focus on long form content with shorts being the goal. Okay, so I'm not just going all in on shorts. I'm not neglecting the long form. In fact, I'm prioritizing it because I know out of it, I will get a ton of shorts. So hopefully that will help kind of maybe reframe your strategy, reframe your mindset going into 2023. Shorts are all the rage, but that doesn't mean neglect the long form. It means go all in on the long form. And from that, you'll get a ton of short form content. All right. And I've got some tutorials on the channel about how to repurpose content strongly. So moving along, we got another verse. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. And I just wanted to encourage you guys, consistency is hard. It is the great separator from those who succeed and those who do it one time. I think pretty much anybody can make a video once. Pretty much anybody can sit down and aspire to do a video, see it through, and post it. But it's really hard to do it every week. It's really hard to do it every day. It's hard to, commit to that and to keep showing up, especially for creatives. I think creatives struggle with this so much because we're always want to chase that new idea, that fresh inspiration. But remember, if you're trying to be a full-time creator, it is also a business, and businesses are consistent. Businesses show up and they keep doing that same thing that people like, not always chasing the new thing. So hopefully that is an encouragement. Don't grow weary of doing good. Don't grow weary of adding value to people. Keep showing up and don't give up, because I think that's where you're going to see the breakthrough into being able to do it full time, into finding success, into winning online, is just to keep showing up, because that's what a lot of people don't do. All right. Now we're moving along to value. All right. We are talking about value. This is probably the most important thing. Okay. You've got to find your why. People need you, and don't hold back. I'm going to break these down. So find your why. I talk about this a lot on the channel as well, but for me, my why is not money. My why is not a bunch of subscribers. It's not fame. My why is adding value, because I find purpose in doing that. All right. And I think that it comes down, why does this matter? Okay. So why does your why matter? It's a lot of whys. It matters on the days where you don't feel like doing it, It matters on the days where you are tired and worn out and uninspired, right? And you don't feel like showing up. You don't feel like making the video. Well, it's in those moments that your why will give you that purpose to push through, because you're going to think about the impact that you can make, or the difference that you can make, or the purpose that you have. And you can think about the audience. You can think about the people that choose to follow along, or maybe the people that are yet to find you, and how your content could help add value to their lives. And it's those things it's that mindset that will get you to push through. And you'll always be glad that you did. You'll always be glad that you did. Okay. So you've got to find your why. People need you. I talk about this a lot because I really do believe it. I think that if you're watching this right now, that means you're an aspiring content creator. It means that you are leaning in to try to learn and better yourself and grow. And that's awesome. That's really good. And I want to say this to you because you guys are the ones who are pushing through, who are going to make it work. People need you. People need the content you will create. There are people on the other side of you hitting publish that are going to smile, that are going to have their perspective changed, that are going to find purpose. Your content could even transform people's lives. Like, you never know the full impact of what's on the other side of you hitting post. So think about that while you're going through your process, on the days especially where you're feeling uninspired or tired or you're just not into it. Think about those things, because it's going to be what lets you push past, and you'll be so glad that you did. All right. And don't hold back. Don't be stingy with what you have to offer. Like, don't hold on to the best things. Just release it all. Give it all away. This is how the creator economy works. Like, give your best. Give your first. Give your best. Like, just go for it. Share as many tips as you can. Be as helpful as you can. Nothing's too simple to cover. Like, talk to beginners. Talk to experts even on some things. Like, share it all. Okay. And there's a verse that I want to share with you guys around that topic, which is in Proverbs, and I love Proverbs. It says, give freely and become more wealthy. Be stingy and lose everything, right? So this is biblical wisdom. Like, just give away your wisdom, give away your time, give away your efforts, and you will find more wealth, more abundance in views, more abundance in growth, more abundance in all of that stuff as a result. But if you're just stingy and don't want to share anything, and you're keeping all of this value-packed knowledge or inspiration to yourself, you're not going to grow, okay? And another verse I wanted to share with you guys, a little more positive. Each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace, okay? I believe each of us have gifts. Each of us have talents. Each of us have passions. Each of us have things that we're just naturally good at, or that we've learned to be good at, skills that we've developed over time. Use those things on your channel, because it's going to be what makes you, like, just share those gifts with people. Don't hoard it. Don't hold on to it. Release it, share it with other people and see impact. All right. Okay, cool. So we're going to be getting into a little bit of a Q&A time, some questions and answers. This is one of my favorite parts of the stream. Now I'm kind of got through this, done with this little presentation part of it, and I just want to talk through it, help answer some questions. It doesn't have to be necessarily related to the stream, but if you guys have any questions at all, start typing them into the chat and I'll start to address them. While we get ready to do this, I have a few questions that I've pulled from some recent community tab posts and Instagram posts I've done. So I'm going to answer some of those while you guys are, getting into it. All right. So we've got this first question from Jadicus. Says, hey, Ben, I think you've done a great job on your instructional videos. One thing I've been struggling with, my living room is the main place where I can capture B-roll for products and other things, but the space is only so big. Just after 6 videos, I'm finding myself reusing the same angles and backgrounds from video to video. I do have some poster board I use here and there. I'd like to know if something like that matters at all. Will viewers get bored of seeing the same environment from video to video? And my answer to that question would be no. I don't think viewers will get tired of it. In fact, I think it's a good thing to create familiarity. So I would focus on just getting one of those angles to look as good as you can. And then for the sake of efficiency, for the sake of consistency, for the sake of familiarity, keep using that angle, because I think people will become more accustomed to it. It will feel more homely and kind of like their place to hang out with you. Okay, so don't worry about trying to mix it up all the time. For me, I can speak on this. I've sort of a couple of like sets, if you will, but they're 4 different formats. So like I have this set for the live stream. I've got one for talking head. Vlogs are different because you go out and about, but I do have a couple of ones, and the reason mine have changed over time is because I've been trying to figure out how I want to do it, and I finally have landed on one that I like. So anyways, hopefully that answers that question. Let's move on to another. Hi, Ben. Love your content, and since implementing, I've seen my channel's growth take a big jump. My question is, if I create long-form content so that I can repurpose and break it down into shorter videos and maybe even shorts, what sort of posting schedule would you go for? Do I post the long one first or trickle out the shorter ones? How long would you wait between posting repurposed content? I'm currently trying to just post weekly. Many thanks, man. Well, thank you, Digital Learning Consultant. Great question. I can only speak to how I am approaching it and how I'm going to do it. For me, I am focusing on the long form, and I'm going to post that first. And then I'll cut up the short form, and I'll start releasing that over time. 3 to 5 times a week, every day if you can. That's a big, thing to strive for, but start seeing what I would do is maybe spend a little bit of time, build up a content bank, get 20, 30 shorts ready, and then start releasing them like every, 3 to 5 times a week, and just give it a little bit of space, kind of start seeing what's working, what's not working, and let the analytics kind of dictate how you strategize, right? So that would be the way I would go for it. Don't post everything like all at once, trickle it out a little bit. Because again, the goal is consistency. So if you post it all at once, then you're not going to have anything left to post. But if you trickle it out, you can keep showing up, right? So, all right, let's jump back into this. We have a question from Annie. Hey, recently subscribed to your channel from Nigeria. Great stuff you've got on here. My question is, how do you manage to write your script while keeping the viewer in mind always? I'm yet to start, but bought all the needed gear. I'm sure you already know my type. Now I'm trying to walk back from creating a thumbnail to creating a full script. It's proving more difficult than I thought. I find myself drilling on with information only I would want to hear. Hope this question makes some sense. So yeah, for sure. That makes sense. I think, a lot of people have found themselves in that same situation where you strategize a little bit, like you dream, right? You dream, you go buy the gear, you buy the stuff, you sit down and you realize, oh, I don't know exactly what to talk about, right? And I think that's where planning is such a massive, massive component of the content strategy. So what I would say is, before you go and sit down in front of the camera, see if you can just write out some of your thoughts. And when it comes to scripting, which is part of your question, what I like to do, or how I like to think about it, is I get really specific on one topic. I'm not trying to answer everything I could ever answer in this video. It's answering one specific thing. Within that one specific topic or problem that I'm trying to solve with my content, or the question that the audience has that I'm trying to answer, within that, I come up with an intro. I just tell the viewers, hey, this is what you're about to learn. This is what we're about to do. Then I treat it as a 5-paragraph essay. I don't write a 5-paragraph essay, but as if I was planning to write one. You have your, thesis, and then you have a couple of points and a conclusion. In my case, I have an intro, setting everything up. Then I have 3 to 5 points and a conclusion. Hopefully that will help steer your direction. I kind of filter everything that way. You'll notice even on this stream today, it's really structured that way. I set up the intro and I went through a few points. We had identity, experimenting, consistency, value, all of those good things. And so I think that's the way that I like to think about it. All right. I've got a couple more of these questions, then I'll start answering your guys as well. So when collaborating with others, how do you pitch an idea without sounding dumb? That's such a good question. I love the simplicity of that question, but I love that it is super relevant because I think we all feel that way. So here's what I do. If I'm going to collaborate with somebody, if I'm going to try to reach out to someone who I want to invite to speak to my audience and onto my channel, I'm going to be very selective with who I'm trying to collaborate with. Okay. I'm going to be very selective with who I'm trying to collaborate with. And I'm going to approach that person, asking them how, inviting them to add value to the audience. So I'm not just going to be like, hey, you want to collaborate? I'm going to approach someone for a specific reason. So maybe it's someone who's really good at photography and I want them to come and share some photography insights with my audience. I'm going to approach them and be like, hey, you are such a talented photographer. I love your style and the specific things you do with the way you shoot. I'd love to invite you to talk to my audience because I really think that they could get a lot of value out of that. And I'd love to just hear a little bit about your story and your perspective on how you do things, because I think it's great. So you compliment the person and you tell them why you think it would be beneficial for the audience to learn from them. And I find that when you approach it that way, most of the time people are down, because they want to, share that too. It's more exposure for them. So anyways, that's how I would approach collaborations. And I don't think that will sound dumb. This is a quick question I'll answer. How do you know you were ready to be a creative full time? I didn't know I was ready. I don't think you ever really feel ready. I think you have to step out in faith. When you're going into something big like that, like a big life decision, 100%. I don't think I think if you wait till you feel ready, you won't have moved fast enough in certain things. So I definitely didn't feel 100%. I didn't feel like I was ready, but I did do a few things to help set myself up for it. I had been freelancing a little bit on the side. I used to work at a church, and during that time I was also freelancing. So I'd built up a couple clients, this, that, and the other. And so I by no means was 100% ready, but I do know that when I did step out and go for it full time, the results were crazy. And I was able to make more even in that first month, almost twice as much than I was at my other job. So I do think momentum and certain things can start really happening fast when you choose to step out in faith. Operate in wisdom, but step out in faith. All right. So we're going to dive into a few of your guys' questions real quick. I see that we've had some coming in, but real quickly, before we do that, I'd love to tell you about the sponsor of today's stream, which is Soundstripe. Soundstripe is where I get all of my music for YouTube videos and client work and all of that good stuff. They are such an awesome music licensing platform. I even have a playlist with them if you guys are interested in some of my favorite tracks that they have on their site. But you can license these songs and use them legally on your videos without having to worry about copyright strikes, which is great. They have a lot of great filter tools to help you quickly and easily find the right track for your project. I don't know about you guys, but back in the day before Soundstripe, I used to hunt around on YouTube like royalty-free sound. What can I use that's copyright-free? And it was so hard to find the type of sound that I wanted. Well, Soundstripe makes it super easy with their filter tools. They have really great prices. They're super competitive, and you guys can even use code CREATIVE20 to save 20% at checkout. Thanks so much to Soundstripe for sponsoring the stream. I love partnering with them. They're a great company, and got links to that down in the description. All right, guys, let's get into some questions. It's going to be good. I'm just going to scroll through here. Keep them coming in as well. And I'll try to find some of these questions. All right. Let's see. You know what? Let me get a drink of water real quick. All right. Question from Many Scenes GB, could you point me to your content about how to take bits from long format video and turn it into the format shorts, please? Yes, if it's not in the description right now, we'll get it in the description soon, maybe even shortly after the live stream. It could be in there now. We'll see. But I will definitely add it in shortly after this, so just refer back. All right. Oh, that's just a compliment. Thank you, Poetic Empress. All right, looking for the questions. Okay, great question. This is from Leah. She says, when a video you believed in and spent a lot of time on did not work as expected, maybe you didn't post it at the right time, do you delete it and repost it or just move on? Thanks. Great question. I've had this happen many times. I feel like most of the time this is what happens. Like, you spend all of your time and energy on what you believe is going to be the best video you've ever made, and then you post it and you see it as a 10 out of 10 on YouTube, which on YouTube 10 out of 10 is bad. And it's disheartening. It can be heartbreaking even, super uninspiring, unmotivating when this happens. But personally, I do not delete it because I have seen videos take off and explode even as far as a year in advance. So my most popular video on my channel, when I first posted it, it only had around and this for my channel or whatever, it only had around 200-300 views. It had under 1,000 views for the first 6 months. And then something happened at that 6-month mark and people started finding it and discovering it, and it just shot off, and now it has over 3 million views. So no, I would not delete it. I wouldn't re-upload it. Just let it be. Maybe adjust title, thumbnail if you think of a better way to get it more intriguing, but just give it time. YouTube's a search engine, and sometimes it takes longer on YouTube, but when it takes off, it's well worth it. So great question. Let's see. Yes. Dean, love everything you do, Ben. Do you have any cheaper option than the Rodecaster Pro you'd recommend for an audio interface? Absolutely. Now, it depends on what type of content you're wanting to do. But for example, I'm not using the Rodecaster Pro right now. And for those of you who don't know, that's kind of like a bigger, almost like a soundboard looking audio interface. What I'm using is the Elgato Wave XLR. It's much cheaper. It's only one input, but for live streaming, it works very well. You can do a lot of EQ and stuff like that. Now, if you need more channels, right? Maybe you're like, one's not enough. I use the Zoom H6. This is a really handy recorder. Let me go grab it real quick. I'll be right back, and I'm going to continue answering this question and dive into that. While I go and grab that, check out this quick promo for my lighting course. Whether you are using an expensive camera setup or simply a smartphone, lighting can completely change the entire look of your video. Hi, my name is Ben Johnson, and I'm passionate about helping content creators crush it online. I've been running my creative business full-time since 2015. I've created content for clients generating millions of views, captured hundreds of live events with my award-winning team, and generated a community of over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. The common thread throughout all of this was using lighting to create content that stands out. And now I've condensed years of experience into this course so that you can go further faster. In these modules, you will learn the fundamentals of lighting, multiple lighting styles and techniques, how to create flattering looks in challenging scenarios, how to achieve pro looks on a budget, and how to create standout content that gets results. Your digital presence has never been more important because business is happening online. It is where interviews are conducted, transactions take place, people are discovered, communities are built, and careers are made. Whether you are creating social media content, applying for your dream job, teaching courses, or filming for clients, this course will help you stand out and level up your content. Okay. Sorry, I just used that as a filler. I also wanted to plug the course because I think it's really cool. But we've got the Zoom H6 right here. So this is actually what I use for the majority of my YouTube videos. Okay, so this is how I record the audio. You can actually record onto an SD card with this, and you can also plug this into your computer and plug, 4 channels and even add up to 6 channels with the attachment, and use this as an audio interface. It has phantom power. You can bring it with you on the go and record direct to an SD card if you don't want to do a computer. Records everything as separate tracks. This is the Swiss Army knife of audio gear. Absolutely love the H6. So hopefully that answers your question. Elgato Wave XLR is what I'm using right now. For bigger stuff, I use the H6 for podcasts and whatnot. I just prefer it over the Podcaster. Okay, got a new question from Bertram Cash. Is your long form video shot at 4K? I ask because I figure more resolution would benefit the vertical shorts. Yes, I do shoot in 4K, and that is exactly why I do it. But on that topic, I don't think that it's as important as you may think. So if you just are shooting in HD, don't let that discourage you. Like, you can totally do that. What I find works really well with shorts is whether it's HD or 4K, if the video is a little fuzzy, it doesn't even really matter, especially if you add captions, because a lot of times people will just kind of read the captions more than looking at the quality of detail in your video. And it's really about the substance of what you're saying and the substance of what you're doing more than it is the crispiness of the video quality. I'm not saying the crispiness hurts, but what's more important is the substance. So, but I do shoot 4K, and it is for that reason. It does help a lot. So, all right, we've got another question. Pure Nordic Vibe. Hi, Ben. Love your channel. Here's my question. TubeBuddy or vidIQ paid versions? Okay. vidIQ 1000%. It's so much better. I've used both. I am sponsored by vidIQ. This stream is not sponsored by them. But I love their team. I love the heart behind vidIQ. So, quick story time. vidIQ actually this past year flew me out to VidCon, me and Michaela, my wife, to work with them at VidCon, and we got to meet the staff. We got to meet the CEO, and his heart, their heart for creators is next level. They really care about you guys. They want you guys to succeed so much. And so getting to know the heart behind vidIQ and where they're coming from and the direction they're basing everything off of, especially from the CEO and the top down, it was encouraging to me to be a partner with them. On the flip side, I've heard some weird stuff about TubeBuddy. I'm not going to slander them or anything like that, but I'll just say they've seemed a little shady at times. They were at VidCon as well, and it just was odd. So anyways, for me, vidIQ, not just for the character of the company, but they also have a ton of great features. They have really cool AI tools. They're always expanding new ideas with how they can help creators, and their channel alone is so value packed. Rob over there and Dan, they do an awesome job adding value. So definitely vidIQ for me. Great question. All right. All right, this is a question from David. Best tip for lighting in a really small space, making videos in a small office clip set, only 1 meter space behind me, struggling to get separation, background, lights and everything. Okay, so this could come down to the type of lens that you're using. I would really look into that if you're going to upgrade anything else at this point. But I do have videos on this that could help you. I would really recommend using a wide lens, especially in a tight space, and try to go with as fast an aperture as you can afford to get, because that's going to bring in a lot more light and a lot more depth, make your space feel bigger. Okay. So I have some videos on this. Hopefully you can get some value out of that. As far as the lighting goes, just get your softbox as close as possible to you and kind of put it up, angle it down a little bit, or whatever type of light you're using. I would recommend a softbox. And then I think that even just doing that will help. Maybe get one light behind you on the opposite side, experiment a little bit. I have some videos on there. I'll link them in the description after this as well. Great question, David. But yes, having a wide lens with fast aperture will bring a little bit more depth. Hey, we got Ismail. I discovered your channel 3 minutes ago. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining. All right. Okay, great question from Poetic. Question, does the aesthetic of the page matter? Is it better to have a uniform look for thumbnails with the appropriate title? Yes and no. The uniformity of the page alone should not be the goal. That doesn't matter. What matters is the consistency of how you show up in people's feeds. So you really want to think through creating like a consistent look. It doesn't have to be coherent and curated like back in the day on Instagram feeds for your page. So don't make that the goal. It's really just about like, if this thumbnail shows up in someone's feed, would it look similar or familiar to your other content that they may have seen? Okay, that's sort of what the goal is. So hopefully that helps answer your question. But with that being said, don't be afraid to experiment. Don't be afraid to try some stuff like we talked about. Okay. Hopefully that will help. So let's see, going through a couple other questions, guys. Thank you all for hanging out today, hanging with me. Appreciate it. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I'm just reading. Give me a moment. My bad. My bad. All right, great question from Master Teacher. I want to start content creation, but put it off. I'm kind of perfectionist. What should I do? Ooh, I know that's a seemingly simple question on the surface, but man, it's deep. I am in that same boat with you. I struggle with perfectionism a lot. I actually did a whole other stream talking about that. Toxic Creator Thoughts is what it's called if you want to check it out. But the only thing that I've found to break through perfectionism is to just start making a lot of stuff. And what I have found is if I go, for me personally, if I go for like, maybe I push hard, I get a couple videos in the bin, they're all ready to go. I'm kind of like, oh, cool, my month's done. And then I don't really do a lot for that month. Maybe I'm just planning or just kind of working on the business rather than in the business, whatever, working on my website, stuff like that. And then I go a few weeks without actually creating a video. What I find for me is I kind of get in my head again, and it gets kind of hard because I haven't been in that rhythm of creating. So for me, what breaks that perfectionism mindset is consistency. It's getting stuff good enough and releasing it, realizing that it never will be perfect, that done is better than perfect, as in the words of Think Media. But yeah, I really think that that's the cure for perfectionism is consistency. And I think that for me, man, I would, rather than making one perfect video, as cool as that would be, I would rather be known for making a bunch of consistently really good videos, right? And I try to treat it as a little bit more of a lifestyle. So it's like I know that I'm in the rhythm and the lifestyle of being a content creator. That means I have to create content. And I've got to do it consistently, and I'm not going to have time to chase every idea or vision or stuff I have to make it perfect. So hopefully that helps answer your question. Biggest thing is get started, get rolling, plan it out, be strategic, but plan it out, and then actually go shoot it, actually do it, and realize that when you do it, when you go and you make the video, most likely it's not going to be as good as you want it to be. That's how it is for me every time. Most likely it's not going to be to that level that you envisioned or aspired. And it's at that point that you've got to do the really hard thing and release it and move on to the next thing, because that's the only way that you're going to be a content creator. That's really the only way that people are going to get to experience your content, right? So that would be my encouragement. Okay, guys, we're nearing the end here. Let's see. Another additional question from Calvin. Don't have the space for the softbox. Yes, we were talking about this earlier. I know you don't think you have the space for the softbox. I think you might. Try checking out the Mount Dog softbox lighting kit. The softbox itself is not super big. It stays within the legs of a light stand, and you can make them pretty narrow. So before you just assume that you don't have the space, like unless you have tried, which cool if you have, but if you haven't tried it, try it. I think you'll find that it works pretty well. Like I have the Mount Dog softbox kit literally on my desk right now. Like this is my key light. It's big enough, but like it doesn't need to take up that much space, which is why I recommend it. So I would check that one out. And it's like $50 for the full kit. Comes with a remote, really handy. You can control stuff. Again, my apologies if you have tried it, but I would recommend checking that out. If that's not working for you, I've got some other recommendations like the G2 Pocket RGB. That would be something to check out as well. Let's see. We've got a question from Shun. Serendipity. That's a cool name. What is the camera you are currently using? Right now, I'm using my favorite camera for YouTube, which is the Sony A7C. I just recently did a full review on it, and it's paired with the Sony 20mm 1.8. It's nice and crispy. Love it. You can get a very similar look with cheaper gear as well, like the Sony ZV-E10 with the Sigma 16 1.4. But if you're interested in checking out more about this camera, I just did a full review on it. Great question. We have a question from Ashani. Hi, Ben. I am now starting out YouTube as a photographer and have not posted. What would you say is a good way to be consistent starting out? It really just depends on kind of like what you want to do with your channel. But if you want to be consistent, one of the easiest ways to do that right out the gate is to actually batch create. So it's actually like plan out 3 videos, sit down and film all of them, make all of them, and then start rolling them out over the next 3 weeks as they're rolling out. Start doing that again. All right. Maybe if you have a shoot, like you're going to a session and you want to wear a GoPro or have a friend come along and film it, that can add some more content as well. But right off the get-go, I would just say, sit down, come up with a few ideas, execute on them, see them through, and then start your channel when you have about 3 videos ready to go. Hopefully that helps. All right, guys. This has been really fun. I really enjoy getting to hang out with you all. Thank you so much for spending time with me here on the live stream. We're getting ready to wrap it all up. And, you know, I'm really thankful for you all. Again, my goal this year is to help creators win. And so if you're a creator, let's get connected, you know, DM me on Instagram, be on the lookout in the community tab. I'm posting stuff there all the time. And, you know, that's my goal. As always, stay creative. Peace. What?